Welcome to Gabon 24. This is your G24 News edition in English. And now let's go for the top stories. 4 days before the second round of the Tunisian presidential elections, finalist Nabil Karoui was released on Wednesday, 9th October. He left in the evening the prison of Mornagia, 20 kilometers from Tunis, by decision of the Court of Cassation. The White House told House Democrats it will not comply with demands for documents and testimony in Democrats' impeachment inquiry, setting up a legal showdown between the two branches of government. That's all for our top stories. Stay with us for more details in this newscast. We open this newscast with political news in Tunisia. 4 days before the second round of the Tunisian presidential elections, finalist Nabil Karoui was released on Wednesday, 9th October. Jan Akenenge has more details for us in this newscast.
A Tunisian appeals court on Wednesday freed presidential candidate Nabil Karoui days before Sunday's second round runoff election. His lawyer Kamal Ben Massoud said Mr. Karoui was detained in August before the first round of the election and has spent the entire campaign period in prison, pending a verdict in his trial for money laundering and tax evasion, which he still denies. Representing the Kalb Tunis party, he ran against conservative law professor Khaled Said, who announced last Saturday that he would stop his campaign to keep a level playing field with his adversary. Interim President Mohamed El Nasser, feeling since the death of Beijing Khaled Essebsi in July, warned Friday that Mr. Karoui's detention could have a serious and dangerous repercussions on the electoral process.
Now in Kenya, a group of young professional women are offering help to their peers to navigate their work environment for better join the workforce in their country. More details in this report.
As more women are joining the forces in Kenya and face a unique set of challenges, a group of young professionals are offering help to their peers to navigate their work environment. Kenya women make up 48.5% of the workforce, according to the 2017 World Bank study. Catherine Wahome has worked in human capital management for 6 years. She has seen the challenges and biases women face in the workplace.
So we have lots of thoughts that have been shaped by how we grew up. How we were treated since we were kids. We never challenge those thinking, and that limits how we are performing. When I mention, okay, that's your thinking, let's try and kind of dig deeper into why do you think you're thinking that way, okay? And then we get into the back of it and you realize it's something that someone never thought that they were biased to themselves.
And indeed, throughout the evening, the ladies spoke up, sharing experiences and tips.
Getting a space for women to just share their experiences, because we all have different backgrounds, of course. We all venture into different opportunities, into different spaces, and we all experience life differently. We also have different hurtful things that happen to us.
While women face a multitude of challenges in the workplace, these young women and others are determined to help their peers succeed.
Now in economy, let's get to South Africa, where the electric vehicle market is set to take off in the next 5 years. Jan Leimangoy has more details for us.
The electric vehicle market is set to take off in the next 5 years as countries around the world grapple with rising levels of traffic congestion and air pollution. Globally, there are more than 6 million electric vehicles on the road, with China leading the charge to smarter, low-carbon transport systems. Delegates attending the inaugural Smarter Mobility Summit in Pretoria in October 1st and 2nd looked at ways to accelerate the transition and propel Africa into the future.
Because they are leading in terms of some of the innovation in relation to battery technology. And as part of developing this position paper, our team will go to China, our team will go to Norway and other leading countries so that we can be able to see what is it that we can learn from them, that we can be able to import into South Africa.
Delegates at the Smarter Mobility Summit were given a preview on electric alternatives coming into the market. But for many Africans, cars are still expensive. Biking is a popular way of getting around in some countries. In South Africa, minibus taxis transport 70% of commuters.
The taxi industry is a massively important player. They are transporting the bulk of public transport users in South Africa on a daily basis. It's the biggest issue at the moment that the whole public transport industry is subsidized, but the taxi industry that's transporting most people are not subsidized.
African cities are growing fast, increasing the need for innovative modes of transport. A move to greener vehicles, such as buses, bikes and taxis, will require increased spending on infrastructure.
We are still in economy. The new chief of the International Monetary Fund unveils data showing trade conflicts could wipe out $700 billion in global GDP by 2020. Jan Akenenge will tell us more.
For the global economy, the cumulative effect of trade conflicts could mean a loss of around $7 billion by 2020, or about 0.8% of the GDP. The IMF Managing Director said at an event at the Global Lenders headquarters ahead of the annual meetings of the IMF and the World Bank next week. The US-China trade conflict has not only increased direct costs on businesses and consumers, but also caused secondary effects such as a loss of confidence and market reactions, said Georgieva, who is the former Chief Executive Officer of the World Bank. Policy priorities, she said, include using monetary policies wisely and enhancing financial stability, deploying fiscal tools to meet current challenges, implementing structural reforms for future growth, and embracing international cooperation. New research at the IMF confirmed that the carbon taxes can be one of the most powerful and efficient tools, Georgieva said. But the key is to change tax systems, not simply add a new tax, she added. She again called the cooperation and expressed confidence in a better future for all.
In USA, Washington, the White House refused Tuesday to turn over internal documents regarding Ukraine being sought by House Democrats as the Trump administration dug in again their impeachment inquiry. Jan Leimangoy will tell us more in this report.
At the direction of the State Department, the U.S. ambassador to the EU did not appear for testimony before House lawmakers. President Trump said he would love to send Gordon Sondland to testify, but not before what he called a totally compromised kangaroo court. U.S. ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, who was scheduled to be interviewed by the House committees as part of the impeachment inquiry, was ordered not to appear for his deposition by the State Department, according to a statement issued by his attorney. Sondland was mentioned in the original whistleblower complaint and is a key witness to the Trump-Ukraine dealings. On the July call between Mr. Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Mr. Trump urged Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden. Before the call, the president instructed Acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney to hold off on releasing military aid to Ukraine that had been appropriated by Congress. Soon after the July call, White House officials moved the record of a call to a highly classified computer system, severely restricting who could access it. Sondland's lawyer Robert Luskin said in the statement that Sondland is profoundly disappointed that he will not be able to testify today. Luskin said the ambassador had traveled from Brussels for the testimony and made arrangements with committee staff to appear. Sondland believes strongly that he acted at all times in the best interest of the United States and remains ready to testify on short notice, Luskin said.
Because health matters, Brazil's health ministry launched a nationwide vaccination campaign on Monday to protect children from measles and poliomyelitis. Here is the report.
The Brazilian Ministry of Health on Monday started a nationwide vaccination campaign to tackle a measles outbreak in the country. According to the country's health authorities, Brazil confirmed 5,404 new measles cases in the past 90 days, and about 97% of them happened in the Sao Paulo state. So far this year, the measles disease has caused 6 deaths, and 4 of them were children under 1 year old. The vaccination campaign is expected to cost 206 million Brazilian reals and will benefit 2.6 million children and 13.6 million adults. In 2016, the World Health Organization declared Brazil measles-free, but the measles reappeared in the country in 2017. The Brazilian Ministry of Health has encouraged people to get vaccinated to take precautions on the disease.
Now we are ending with sports in this newscast. Teddy Riner won the Grand Slam in Brasilia by beating local judoka David Moura in the final at the end of a tournament where previously it had to work. Jan Lakenenge tells more in this report.
First up was Kokoro Kaguera of Japan. He finally succumbed to a huge Hashiguruma. Next up was Inal Tasoev of Russia, which was another close fight edged by Awazari. The semi-final saw the world champion Lukas Palek penalized out before he could even get going. But it was David Mura who had the pleasure of taking Arena in the final. The fight could not have been more different. A fantastic Osoto Makikomi in the first exchange saw Rina sitting in his rightful spot as king of the heavyweights. I feel good, said Rina, but today was a big day. But it's important I compete in Grand Slams and tournaments like this because if I want to win the Olympic Games in Tokyo, first I need to win this tournament. His medal was presented by the International Judo Federation competition manager, Dr. Lisa Alain.
All is well that ends well. We have come to the end of our newscast, but before we wrap up, let's take a look back to our top stories. 4 days before the second round of the Tunisian presidential elections, finalist Nabil Karoui was released on Wednesday, 9th October. He left in the evening the prison of Mornagia, 20 kilometers from Tunis, by decision of the Court of Cassation. The White House told House Democrats it will not comply with demands for documents and testimony in Democrats' impeachment inquiry, setting up a legal showdown between the two branches of government. That's all for our newscast. You can follow us on our social networks right now displaying on your screen. Stay with us on Gabon 24 for the news to continue. Bye-bye.